me. My name is Miss Lizzie. I don't ever smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some ditzies. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to rhyme. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome guys, Miss Liz in the house, and that's right. And I have the incredible Shelby Perry in the house. We're going to talk about Eyehesive. We're going to talk about an accident that happened and how she created it all. And we're going to talk about her tea. And her tea today is Snowboarding Injury to Global Business. Share your story and protect your vision. That is the tea we are serving in the house today. But before we get started, you guys know how Miss Liz rolls. Get over to all those platforms: Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Eligible, Lemonade, Clapper, all those good platforms. Give those a like, follow, and subscribe. And if you see the guest on those platforms, give them a follow as well, because that's how we make a difference, by supporting one another. Then jump over to the podcast apps: Podbean, iHeartRadio, Listen Notes, Deezer, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those good platforms. Give those a like, follow, and subscribe as well, and get these tea times out there, because they do help the guests and anyone that resonates with the stories that are being coming to the table. Then jump over to babyboomers.org if you're looking to be featured on different podcasts and Miss Liz is not the flavor that you're looking for, or you'd like to see more flavors of similar like Miss Liz, you can jump over to babyboomers.org. Miss Liz has been partnered with them for about 4 years, and they have over 50 different podcasts there that you can pitch your story to as well. So let's get disclaimer and then a beautiful intro, and we're going to get Shelby in here, and we're going to have some fun with you guys today. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicating to sharing real-life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I'm Miss Liz is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own good judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of this discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at bookingmissliz@gmail.com, or check out my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary, and I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart. And if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Well, welcome to Tea Time with Miss Liz, where every conversation reminds us that the parts of ourselves we once tried to hide can sometimes become the very places where purpose begins to shine. Today, we are honored to welcome Shelby Perry, creator, designer, advocate, and founder of Eyehesive, a brand transforming the way eye patches are seen, worn, and experienced. Shelby's journey began through personal eye loss and the emotional reality of adjusting to a visible change. Rather than allowing that experience to diminish her confidence or identity, she chose to redesign the story. Through creativity, courage, and determination, Shelby began creating eye patches that are not simply medical necessities. They are expressive, stylish, empowering, and deeply personal. Her work challenges the ideal that anyone should have to hide what makes them different. Instead, she invites people to wear their stories with confidence, color, individuality, and pride. Today, we'll explore Shelby's personal journey through the eye loss, the inspiration behind Eyehesive, turning a medical need into creative expression, identity, confidence, and visual differences, designing products that help people feel seen, becoming an example of courage for others. Shelby reminds us that confidence is not about pretending something that never hurts. It is about deciding that pain will not ease our beauty, creativity, or right to be fully seen. So grab your favorite cup and join us for a powerful conversation filled with design, resilience, transformation, and real life tea, truth, experience, and awareness. And let me get Shelby in here and spill some tea with you. Welcome, Shelby.
Hi, Miss Liz. Thank you for having me on, and thanks for that introduction.
It is an honor to have you here and to get to know how it all started. But before we get that started, let's get to know Shelby a little bit. So who was Shelby as a little girl and who's Shelby now?
Yeah, Shelby as a little girl, I always talk about this big I was always like a dreamer. I had a great imagination. I loved to play. I loved to dress up. I wore lots of extravagant, whatever I could find in the closet, clothes. So just pretty like out there, I guess I would say, very playful. I still am that, but I think that it is, yeah, there's this like energy and this power behind me. So it's a little bit more, I guess, sophisticated. I've gone through a lot of different journeys in my life and in my, teenage years and in my early 20s. And, in the last 6 years, really, since like the pandemic and losing my eye, which we'll go into, I've really, really shifted into a woman that I, feel very proud to be today. And that wasn't always the case, like in my younger years, I had, a lot of self-conscious, things come up and just like low self-esteem. And in my 20s, I, struggled behind the scenes, but now I feel like I've really, really stepped up and I'm, every day just grateful to be here and doing the work that I am and who I am as an individual.
Well, we have some questions that are coming in and it popped up on the screen. I'm not sure what's happening. Somebody's pushing a button or something, but it says, we're so glad you're here. What part of today's topic are you most looking forward to? I think she's asking all the other listeners that are tuning in, but what are you looking forward to today with this conversation with my listeners?
Yeah, I love to, get my story out there only to, inspire people to share their own story because it's been so healing for me. Also to bring awareness to how my injury happened. And then also like I have built this entire community. And so anytime I can, get in front of an audience, a new audience and share that we exist, because I think there's so many people out there that have one eye or that need to wear eye patches and have no idea that we exist, this whole community exists. And so the number one thing is like just reaching those so that they don't feel alone. Because I get messages almost every single day, email or, Instagram messages that are like, I had no idea y'all exist. Just like seeing you makes me feel, less alone or so much better about my story. And so just hoping to reach, more people and to inspire people with my story today.
Well, Shelby, you just mentioned the one eye community, and that's what I love getting out on Teatime is the communities that people don't know exist, right? And by having stories like yours on Teatime, we can open up those communities and open up doors for people seeking to find their own community and to feel seen as well, right?
Yes, totally.
Oh, we got some little wormholes going on, Shelby. If you just keep talking, we can the audio will pick us up. It might be just StreamYard, some glitches going on. Technology. But Shelby, let's get into the story. Can you take us back? Ray, can you take us back to the snowboarding accident that changed your life?
Yeah, so it was, right off the tail end of the pandemic. It was February of 2021. Things were just opening up. I had actually moved from Salt Lake City, Utah, which is where I'm from. And thank you. And I was living in San Diego. And so I had a group of friends out here in San Diego that wanted to go snowboarding. And I was like, well, we have to go to Salt Lake City, Utah. That's like where I'm from. I know all of those mountains and they're just, amazing out there. The snow is so good. So we go, for a weekend at the end of February of 2021. We're having like I always share like the best weekends. We had just gotten like dumped on. There was so much fresh snow. We were really, really having, like I said, one of the best weekends that I had ever had. And it was like the last day on that Sunday before we were going to like fly back to San Diego and wrap up our trip. And I we had found some fresh powder off of the chairlift that we had seen when we were riding up. And when we're trying to get to this fresh powder, we're traversing, which just means that you're not going downhill, you're like cutting across the mountain. So I didn't even have very much speed, and I'm in the front and my two guy friends are like following right behind, and somehow I like caught a little toe edge in the front side of my snowboard, which then pushed me forward, and there was trees right there, and so I ended up like brushing into these tree limbs, which then knocked the lenses of, I had these magnetic, and this is, part of my message as well too. I had these magnetic lenses on my goggles, and they were like all the hype back then. But when I brushed up against the tree branches, it just ejected the lenses right off, which then my eye was exposed, and a tree branch, that same little limb, like got my eye all at the same time as well too. And so now, I really preach, like, make sure that if you have the magnetic lenses, that they have a safety feature, some kind of a lock or a clip or a mechanism that keeps those lenses on in any kind of, impact or crash or anything. So yeah, it was one of those things that I never would have imagined. I grew up, I've been on skis before I could even walk. Like, my parents are skiers. And so we always, expected injuries, but an eye injury would never have been something that I would have ever imagined. And so it was one of those things too, that I was like, I didn't even know people had eye injuries. I didn't know that people lived with one eye or a prosthetic eye. So it really set me on this whole new path, like right away. When I got to the hospital, they tobogganed me down, did a surgery. I got back out to San Diego, established some care out here, had some more surgeries, and about 2 months after the initial injury, they removed the whole eye. And that's kind of when they're like, we're going to get you a prosthetic eye, and you're going to be on this journey now.
I think there was an image you sent me that has like a little golden star or something in the eye, right?
Maybe. Yeah, I have, this one's a fun one too. I have what we call fun prosthetic eyes. I have about 10 of them now. Yeah, this one has like little gold flakes in it, but I have a star one. I have, which other ones do I have? I'm like drawing a blank. Just ones that I have, like a gold one that's all shimmery and gold. I have a white one that's all like white and opal. I have one that has an apple in it.
Oh.
Yeah, so I have a lot of different like fun, cute ones. I have the Eyehesive like logo in one as well too. So
well, that's a good way of marketing, right?
Yes, right.
Nobody else out there is doing that, right? It's a good way to market. You call them fun eyes. So is there a place? Is it only in the US or is it global that they have fun eyes?
So after you have your eye removed, you go to what they call an ocularist. Again, I learned so much about eyes and this whole process and all of these like specialists. I had no idea that, because even during the surgeries, I was seeing like a back of the eye specialist and a wide of the eye specialist and a retina specialist. And I'm like, I didn't even know all of these specialists like existed. But once they removed the eye, they sent me to what's called an ocularist. And ocularistry is actually pretty rare, or like, I don't know if rare is the word. There's only like 250 of them in the whole United States and in Canada. So it's a very like, there's no school for it. It's generational usually because you're apprentice. So like a lot of times it's like the son of the father of the grandpa. So they have these like ocularistry businesses, and then they do a lot of apprenticeships, or like, you have to apprentice to do it, but a lot of it's generational as well too. And so what they've always done though, like up until the last, I would say 6 years, really since I've lost my eye, has always been to make a natural looking eye. So one that would match my exact eye. So people, this whole time and growing up or however they've had it, have always like had just the option of a natural one, which I do have a natural one. And then in the last, I would say, yeah, about 6 years, some of these ocularists that are, want to create more creative ones for their customers or their patients have started to do it, but not all of them offer it. So it is kind of one of those things, like you got to ask your ocularist if they do it, if they're willing to. And then there's like some insurance issues as well too, because insurance doesn't really cover the fun ones either. And so it's getting a little bit better. Like more ocularists are offering it as an option and working with their patients so that they can, discount it a little bit or so. So it's more affordable. I have, because of the work I do in Eyehesive, I have a really good relationship with my ocularist. She's in Portland, and we actually have a nonprofit. I'm just on the board of it. My friend Rachel owns the nonprofit. She has one eye. It's called the Fun Eye Fund, and we raise money to help people get fun prosthetic eyes. So with all the work that I do, she has a mold of my eye as well too. And once they have that mold of the eye, because each eye is meant to fit each person, like you can't you can't share them. It's like molded to my specific eye. Once they have that mold, it's a lot easier to just recreate new eyes from that. And so I've been able to, working with her and having that mold, have more affordable options that way as well too, to have more.
Well, we got a couple comments that are coming in
Yeah.
from Pizza Real Estate. Shelby's resilience is truly inspiring. Turning personal adversity into innovation takes incredible courage. It does. Shelby, we have a question here from Ariel. For what was the moment you realized you wanted to create a better solution for eye patch wearers?
Such a great question. And it was like immediate, pretty much. I'm like laying in bed, and between, like I said, the initial injury to when they removed the eye, I was wearing eye patches because the eye was already immediately like blind. I couldn't see out of it. It was already starting to like eyes at it again. They like change shape and color like really quick. So it was already kind of shriveling. It was darker, it looked unpleasing to me. And so I was eye patching right away. And I remember thinking, like, on the market, I was like trying to find these eye patches, and all they really had were like really big, like kind of medical ones that I even had to tape on, or the adhesive ones that I liked the most, because you could just stick it on and go, were really kid friendly. So they had like unicorns and rainbows and princesses, which I was like, okay, I can rock this. But I was just thinking about, if I had, at that time, I wasn't, going into like a professional meeting or, doing anything like that. But if I had to, I'm like, I want an option that feels sleek and, more professional. Or I was thinking about like teen boys or just adult men, and there just wasn't any options other than these really kind of florally cute girly ones and like dinosaurs, for little boys. And so it was pretty immediate that I was like, I wonder if I can create a better option. I also just had this underlining feeling from the jump that like my story was meant for something bigger. And I had never ran a business. That wasn't even on the vision board, but I had this intuitive hit that was like, maybe there's some way to create something or to monetize this, or, really, I didn't know what that was going to look like. So the eye patches were kind of that first inkling of maybe I could, monetize this by making eye patches or something along those lines.
Well, we have a question here from Joe Soul Show. How long did it take to develop the first eyehesive product?
This is also another great question, which I love talking about this now on social media, because it took me 4 years from really that beginning. Because again, like I shared, I had zero experience in manufacturing and sourcing a product, in business, like all of the things I was like learning from the ground up. And so there was obviously just a lot of learning curves. And there was like moments where I felt like delayed on the position, because I'd kind of get like, okay, what do I do next? And like trying to figure it out. And this was also before ChatGPT or AI too. So, like 6 years ago, you really had to like try to figure things out. And then, but I love sharing that story, because at any point, like if I had quit or given up or thrown in the towel, like, we wouldn't be here. And in the grand scheme of things, I know we always want things to be quicker and come faster, and we want them now. But I'm like, but 4 years to me, I'm like, that seems like nothing now that the product's on the market and now we're scaling it. And so I just always like that reminder that these things do take time, and it's okay if they're taking time, and to really just, if you're passionate about it, then X amount of years doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of the bigger picture. So yeah, I kind of love like sharing that story as well too, just like staying at it, and in between that too, I was doing a lot of community building. So we were doing like virtual conferences, and I was doing coaching. We had memberships, and we do retreat in Tulum, Mexico. So I was like continuing to build the community, which then when we launched the product, it just went crazy because we already had a huge community. We already served this huge community. And so I just kept like every day, like, okay, what do I do next? How can I serve the community? How do I show up here? And at the meantime, you know, the patches were slowly coming together.
Absolutely. You know, and you mentioned the retreats and the conferences and all that. We're going to get into that in just a little bit. I just want to get this question out from Golf Tips. It's, what does the phrase turning adversity into purpose mean to you?
So, you know, it's interesting because adversity like has never been a word that I have ever had to use. You know, grew up in America, I'm white, middle class, you know, so I've like never had to use the word adversity. And then to go through something where, okay, I lose an eye and now I have a little bit different of appearance. Now I have a little bit different of abilities. I'm still like fully capable of doing everything, but the abilities do change. There is this like little bit of adversity. So it has been an interesting like transition for me. But at the end of the day, what it really means is like taking that difference, you know, taking the eye loss, taking whatever makes you different, whatever kind of adds that challenge or that struggle or what other people don't normally have to go through, and then turning it into your purpose, turning it into a why. And it doesn't have to be, so I do a lot of this work with my clients as well too, when they like lose an eye and we're kind of going through the whole process. I have like a 3-part process, and the last part is like creating your why, creating your purpose, your meaning, because that changed everything for me in the trajectory of my healing and in my journey. But your why, like, I'm like, it doesn't have to be building a business, you know, it doesn't have to be like helping all of these people, but like your why could simply be, I have clients that are like, actually, I'm at home more. Like I switched my work schedule and I'm at home more with my kids, or I'm having deeper conversations or more meaningful conversations with the people that I love. Like, so being able to pull out that like little purpose from your story, that little purpose from, you know, the adversity, the thing that you're going through, it's kind of like, okay, what is this like teaching me? Can I pull out one little thing or a big thing and create some kind of meaning or my own why? And that just, I think, makes the journey so much better.
Well, you know, adversity stories, when they happen to us, right? We look at our lives differently. We look at the, you know, and we have to have that support system where they kind of pull it out of us, right? Like, how do you see your life now? Where do you want to see your life going now? You know, and like you said, simple things like just spending more time at home, having those deep conversations that maybe you avoided for many, many years and you're not having them. But then that, you know, that challenge and that struggle came along, that obstacle came along, and it opened your eyes to having those conversations with your children or your loved ones and that as well. So how did your family react to your eye loss?
Just was that, yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said. My family, yeah, obviously they were really traumatized. My friends, you know, everybody was like pretty traumatized at the moment because we really didn't know what that my future meant. Like no one had gone through this. We also didn't know if there was like brain damage, you know, right away and stuff like that as well too. So it was like, you know, just kind of one of those moments where it was really scary. But as soon as we had more information, we realized like, okay, she's going to live. She's going to be okay. It's like just her eye and there's solutions to move forward. I think they still were just, you know, they've always just kind of like watched me in a sense, in a way. And I think they're like, now I can tell because my mom will come to some of the community things, or she's been to like the conferences that I've hosted. And I think she's just really like, wow, like blown away that, again, I've turned it into something, or I'm helping people. And she just loves to hear the stories and kind of follow along as well too. And so I think we show people like how, you know, no one treats me any different. No one like looks at me any differently. And I think I've just always like shown them, you know, the way and how I want to keep living my life. And they've just always like respected that, and they supported it, and they keep supporting it, you know. So they've just been on board with everything, and you know, as helpful as can be.
Well, that's good, you know, like you have a good support system, you know, because sometimes when accidents happen, family kind of pulls away, right? Or they don't know how to react, or they're scared to say, are you okay? You know, like the conversations are different. So I'm really happy that you have that support system. We have another question that came in from Rochelle, and it's, What has been the most rewarding feedback you've received from someone using Eyehesive?
I think it's always, and we get this often. So it's like, really powerful, but it's just this confidence piece. It's like they put on the eye patch and they're like, I finally feel like I can walk out the door, or I don't need to hide behind my sunglasses. Or, we've had straight up messages that are like, I bought these and I haven't felt this confident in a long time. And so I think anything that makes someone feel that like themselves, I've gotten that message too. Like, I feel like myself again. I feel more confident. I feel like I can leave the house is just like the most powerful feedback, because at the end of the day, it's just like, part of this too is that community and knowing that you're not alone, but then having a product that aids in people's lives in a way. I'm still blown away. Sometimes I'm like, it's just an eye patch. You wouldn't think it'd make that much of a difference or that big of a deal in people's lives, but it really does, to have that comfortable, well-fitting eye patch that they can confidently walk out of their house and live their life still.
Well, it's the simple things, right? Sometimes we overlook how much of a difference we actually make with our own stories and our own journeys. And that's why I love having stories like this on Tea Time, because you just never know who's listening and saying, you know what? Thank you for this tea time. Thank you for this story, because now it shows me that I can continue on. I can find the hope. How has losing your eye changed your perspective and confidence and resilience in life?
Yeah, it's interesting because you kind of mentioned that earlier, the perspective, like when you go through something. Yeah, I had an instant perspective change. I remember laying in bed healing because I was, the beginning, you're doing a lot of healing in my brain and body, and everything's trying to heal this damaged eye. I have no energy. I don't feel like myself. I'm uncertain about the future. I'm napping all the time and I'm not a napper. I'm not like on the go or as independent as I like was before, so I have this free time or this downtime where I'm like laying in bed, and it really forced me to like ask some powerful questions of like, okay, who do you want to be, Shelby? Like, what does this mean for you? What are you going to make it mean? Who do you want to be on the other side of this? And so immediately it started to like change kind of my perspective and how I saw myself and what I was in control of and what I wasn't in control of. So it's like I knew I wasn't in control of what was going to happen to my eye, but I was in control of if I was going to rise or not, or what I was going to do with it after. And then I think, the things that kind of goes hand in hand, like that the building of the business has taught me so much, and it's given me so much confidence, because it's like, yeah, showing up and speaking and being on social media and selling something and leading people, like that's given me as much or even more perspective changes or confidence building than like losing an eye has, but they kind of went hand in hand for me.
Can you tell us about a little bit about the business world? What really surprised you when you got into the business field of the Eyehesive?
Well, when I first started, I was just like, I didn't, obviously know what I was doing or where it was going to go, but I actually started blogging. That I was like, people blog and, make income, and maybe I can turn this into like a whole blog. So I was sharing my own personal story, and then I was sharing other people's stories like via blog. I've shared over, like 100 stories in our blog of people all over the world that have lost an eye. A lot of them are injury related, but we have people that have, had eye cancer or tumors or other genetic conditions. And so I'm blogging for a while. And then I realized that there was like a thing called the coaching industry. I'd never heard of the coaching industry. I didn't know it was a thing. And I kind of fell into that. And so that was interesting just because it was something that I had never known of, but I really liked that. But I realized with our adhesive eye patches, I love like e-com and having like a physical product to ship out that way as well too. So I think like business in general is just like following your heart. I never like thought it would be like that. You always think that business is so numbers and like logic and this and that, and you do this, and it is that, like that's super important. But I think there's been so much of like following my heart, like, okay, let's try this, or let's offer this, or let's put this out there, or let's see what this happens, or and so I think that surprised me, and it's like my best business advice is just like keep following your heart, keep doing the next thing, keep showing up every single day, it's like, and then it compounds on one another, and that's how you create a business in the end.
Well, we just answered this question. It just came in again.
Oh,
How did losing your eye
oh.
change your perspective on confidence? Shelby just answer that question. So, Shelby, when you started the Eyehesive, did you know that it was going to make such a big impact in the world?
I had no idea. No, I didn't even know and I can kind of talk a little bit more on the confidence piece too, because I think there's something I can add on that. But when I started, it was simply because so even though I have amazing family and friends, and they were trying so hard to be supportive, they were showing up, they were bringing me everything that I needed, they were really trying to be there, but I still felt like I was missing this like little piece. Like I'm like, I need to talk to someone that has actually lost an eye. Like I need to really speak to someone that's gone through what I've gone through or is going through what I am going through. I also was thinking at the same time too, I'm like, this is so hard that I couldn't imagine doing this completely alone. So it's like, what if there's someone out there that like doesn't have the family or the friends that I do, and they're going through something like this right now? And so there was kind of this dual thing. And I know social media and how that works, as far as like being able to reach people. So I just put my story out there, and I was kind of like looking for someone. That was all. I was like, if I can just meet one person that I can help and they can help me, then that was the context at the very beginning. It was like meet one person, and that they can answer some of your questions, and hopefully you can help one person. And it just, again, like I was sharing, the showing up, the following the heart, I kept getting ideas. I kept being like, ooh, I wonder if I should blog. Ooh, I should share content like this. Oh, I should host a retreat like this, or I should host a conference like that. So it's just like following my heart. And that's really how it's created such a big impact that I would never imagine it. I honestly, I expected to find like 5 people that had one eye, but there's like so many people out there, and we're even like expanding more within the eye patches, because now I'm realizing and having conversations with people that have had like Bell's palsy or a stroke. So they haven't necessarily lost their eye, but they still need eye patches because they're unable to blink. So it's like, okay, now we're even kind of expanding the community and people that could use this product or support, that are just outside of, the one-eyed community as well too. And then to talk a little bit on that confidence too, because I think there's one added piece I want to share with the perspective, because again, I've grown up my whole life, 2 perfectly working eyes, nothing abnormal about me really. And to go from that to losing an eye to having, something that now, and obviously I wear the fun eye, so people, stare often, but to have something where people do look a little bit more, or they do have questions, or they do approach me, it's like, there is this level of like, again, the acceptance of like being a little bit different, and finding power within that as well too, and sharing that message too, and encouraging other people to find power within themselves. But there was a little bit of uncomfortability in that at the beginning, but being able to override that uncomfortability is what's made me confident wearing a fun eye or wearing no eye, or doesn't matter what questions people ask or who comes up to me. And so it's taken like the last 5 years to get to this spot. But
Well, what I'm enjoying about this conversation is you're bringing up a lot of awareness for eye cancer, eye tumors, eye injuries, strokes, Bell palsy. My eye hangs because I'm losing my eyesight. So on the Eyehesive, is there any medication on there, or is it just a patch?
it's just a patch. It's just what we call an adhesive. So essentially a Band-Aid, it
Okay.
even has the little like, thing in the middle on the other side, and then it's adhesive. But what makes ours, perhaps, sorry. I think I should have grabbed one. What makes ours different is they're just like smaller, I guess. And so they fit, it's designed, because the thing I got from people, because it was so big, they're like, I don't
Okay.
want it covering half of my face. And so we created ours that they fit perfectly underneath the eyebrow and kind of around. So it's still, covers the eye area for anybody, but they can still wear their glasses. Sorry. Or it just feels like it's not taking up half of their face. And so, but you can, and they're like, we call them high performance. So they're made to withhold, working out or going to the gym and sweating or doing hot yoga, or just kind of living this like active on the go lifestyle. Or of course, if you're laying in bed healing, they're going to work great too.
I also noticed on your website that you have the Eyehesive formula. What is that?
So for the the supplement, yeah, so that is a little bit different. We just launched that like literally this weekend. And so over the last 5 years, starting a business, being what I would call probably a content creator, because I'm on social media a lot, I'm on my computers a lot, do tons of Zoom calls, I do tons of things like this. I started to notice, because of having one eye, that my eye was more red, more strained, more like screen fatigued, that I had never experienced before. And then I started asking like the community, and they all felt the same way. And they also, like, our number one fear after you lose one eye is like maintaining the integrity and the health of your other eye, because it's like it's all we got left, you know. And so I just really started to think, and then I started to ask people with two eyes what they thought about their eyes, and like how worried they were and how they felt. So I've been doing kind of this behind the scenes like research on just eye care, eye supplements. And I started to also realize, I'm like, there is everything but for skin, hair, nails, gut health, probiotics, you know, prenatals, like everything under the moon when it comes to supplements. And they have eye supplements, but they're just not talked about or like branded or represented. And so my like future of Eyehesive is to continue to scale these adhesive eye patches, but it's to bring in this next level of conversation around, are you going to the eye doctor? Are you taking care of your eyes? Are you taking screen breaks? Are you doing the necessities, you know, to maintain the health and integrity of your eye, which is also like drinking more water? But there are certain ingredients that we can use, which I've put into this supplement, that helps their antioxidants, you know, and helps against the free radicals, against blue light, helps to hydrate and nourish from the inside out. And so, you know, where I'm going with that is like, it serves my current community, my current audience, to really help maintain the health of their eye now, but also opens up the market and people that have two eyes, or people that are on screens all the time, which is like all of us, to really start to open up this conversation and to take something that is proactive, instead of like waiting until we're old and it's like, oh, I should have taken better care of my eyes then, you know.
Well, I'm glad that I did my homework and that they were just launched. So see, for my listeners out there, Miss Liz is always doing homework. So with these supplements, do they take them once a day? Do they take them 3 times a day?
It's a 3 time a day. And I really built in, because I'm all about community and like what I like to call a movement. I like people, like everybody in my community, it's more of a movement, because they're like we do a lot of like action things. So it's like we've done all different kinds of like challenges and things over the years. And just like, you know, it's more, I'm like, yeah, I love the support, but I'm like, I don't want to just like sit around and like trauma bond. I want to be like power bonding, you know. I want to like us to come together and share our story. And of course there's going to be a lot of healing and there's tears and things, but I'm like, okay, what are we doing on the other side? And so even with this supplement, it is, you know, 3 times a day. And I am like, it's like a little bit of a lifestyle shift is like what I'm calling it and introducing. So it's like every day I've got kind of this like vision stack. It's like a little bit of like these habits that everybody does as well too. So it's like, you obviously take the supplement in the morning, you drink water, you like stay off your phone for the first 30 minutes of the day. And then your midday, you take your supplement again. You also take a screen break at that time too. You step outside, get a little sunlight, drink some more water. And then at the end of the day, again, you take your supplement, you drink some more water, you're off of your phone for the last 30 minutes of the day. So I've kind of weaved in this little bit of a lifestyle shift of just that next level, because you're going to get results from the supplement no matter what. But I'm like, why don't we have better, you know, and it's not about, I'm like all about screens and AI and technology, and it's not going anywhere. If anything, it's going to be coming more, obviously. Yeah. So it's not about getting rid of our screens or never being on them or not using AI. It's about, okay, how do all of these things exist? And we take breaks and we have boundaries around it and we care for our eyes, you know? And so I'm like, just feel this future of like eye care coming through this conversation.
Honestly, I see a lot of awareness coming from this conversation, Shelby, with you, because, you know, there's so many of us that stay on our screens way too long, and we're doing damages to our eyes without even knowing, right? And how many people, when's the last time you went and got an eye exam?
Yes.
You know, just a simple eye exam. So many people put that off. They're just like, it's just my eyes. but your eyes are part of your senses, when you had your accident, Shelby, did you have any brain damage?
No, no. Look, I was wearing a helmet and, they said that, and because of the speed and the impact, it literally, like if who knows, we can't predict the future, but I feel like because the lens, popped off and the branch got my eye, but other than that, like everything else, no injury, luckily everything was fine. So.
Well, we just had a question that came in and it says, why is patient-driven innovation so important in healthcare?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
Why is patient-driven innovation so important in healthcare?
Oh, well, because I feel like this is we were having this conversation recently that there is just like almost, and even with this the eye topic that we're talking about right now, it's like everyone that I've talked about, I'm like, do your eyes feel tired by 2 p.m.? Like, actually about these like symptoms and like the redness, the dryness, the irritation, and everyone just like, yeah, but that's normal, right? But I'm like, does it have to be normal? So it's like, is that how our eyes are supposed to feel? Like, we know being on our screens as much as we are, like we blink like 60% less than what we're supposed to. And so, yeah. And, so it's like we just accept some of these things as normal, or even with the eye patches, I feel like we were just like, okay, here's the options. And everyone's like, okay, this is what the options are. So I feel like in healthcare in general, I'm sure, I'm obviously kind of in my lane of eye health right now and these adhesive eye patches, but I have had friends that have like fibromyalgia. I've just heard a lot of different stories and dealing with healthcare, and it feels like majority of the time we're just sometimes like given options and we're just like, oh, that's the options. And so it's up to us, people that experience things like this, to be the innovators, I think, or the trailblazers in that way, and to bring a new topic or to be questioned, like, is that normal? Is that the only way? Can we do something better? Even with the snowboarding goggles, I'm like, why aren't there safety features on this? And it's like, sometimes we just don't think about it until it's too late. I understand that too, but like, when we do discover something, it's like up to us. Like right now, I'm like, for me to go and share, make sure that your ski goggles have like safety features, and so I think it's just so important that if you have a story, like we've been talking, to share that message, to bring awareness to it, to be the one, whether you create something new or not, but to put it out there, and maybe someone else can even create something new, and not just always accept things for what they are.
Right? Question it.
Yeah.
Question it and create and get creative. You mentioned safety features. Some of the things that are being made for snowboarding and skiing, and that they're just designed to look pretty, but they don't have the safety features on them. So have you had those discussions with some of the manufacturers of ski goggles and stuff like that?
So, the only thing I've really done in that lane is like talk about my story on social media. And I've had some, virality within that, when I've talked about it. So I know that, hopefully it's reaching at least the consumers, I'm like from a consumer to consumer. And that's, all things as consumers, because we're just sold things and given things. And you're right. A lot of times it just looks fancy. And I think that consumers need to be aware of that as well too, and just us when we're buying things in general and the safety. I haven't like gone to done anything within the manufacturing. I have thought about it though, like that is on my list at one point, like, ooh, should I create my own ski goggles that are like 100% like resistant, impact resistant? So it's definitely an option. It's on there. It's like an interest that I have, or just like bringing that to more of the manufacturers. I know that they've like made some significant progress, but I think just as a consumer, just being aware of what you're purchasing as well too.
Absolutely, right? Don't just buy because it looks pretty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do your homework and do your research. This is why I like getting educational awareness out there through conversations and stories like yours, Shelby, because there's so much conversation that we could be having that we're not having. Yeah. And by having this conversation right now in front of all of these people that are listening, we're opening that conversation in their homes and in their communities now about eye care. They're going to leave this tea time and they're going to say, you know what? When's the last time we had our eyes checked? you know?
I hope so.
Or
Yes.
do you think we should get the kids' eyes checked? Like they complain that their eyes are itchy. Is there a reason behind the itchiness
Mhm.
behind the eyes and that? You know, when you mentioned eye cancer, I was unaware of eye cancers.
Mm.
So when you did your research and all that, Shelby, were you surprised by some of the research you found?
Yeah, so there's actually like two kinds of eye cancers. And again, never heard of these, but there's one called retinoblastoma, and this is huge to have awareness on this. And the retinoblastoma only develops in children. It's usually developed between the ages of like 18 months or 2 years. So when they're little. And the way that it's detected, it's like the one of the only cancers that can be detected from the outside. Like it has a visible like symptom is there's a glow in the eye. So if you're taking a picture of a child and you have a flash on and you see a white reflective glow in one of their eyes, it could be, there's like 20 things it could be. So it doesn't mean it's like cancer right away. But if you ever see a glow, especially when their kids are around that age, it's typically like even 6 months. Like I know people that have had their eye removed at 6 months because of this cancer. So pretty little. And then, if it is retinoblastoma, they can do, it just depends. I've heard stories where they've done radiation or chemo to try to save the eye. I've heard stories where they just remove the eye right away so it doesn't spread to the other eye. So it's just a little bit different, but I had no idea. So I would say about 50% of my community are like retinoblastoma survivors. So they're adults now, or even kids. I have kids in my community too, and that's their story. Or they're adults now and that, is their story. Or if it's not retinoblastoma and they get eye cancer as an adult, ocular melanoma is like what it is then. Or if it's like a tumor, it's like a little bit different as well too. And so I actually know a gal in my community just last October. Yeah, she went to the eye doctors, hadn't been to the eye doctors in a really long time. They dilated her eyes. So that's her message. It's like she had no idea when they dilated her eyes, and thank goodness they did, because she did. She had ocular melanoma. She ended up having to have her eye removed. She's totally fine now, and like on her healing journey. But it's just like how scary if she hadn't gone, or how long prolonged it would have been, and what would have come if she had waited. So yeah, I definitely think everyone should get their eyes checked, once a year or every other year to be just making sure that they're staying on top of that.
Absolutely. And if you like pink eye and there's a sty in the eye, those are things that
Mm-hmm.
we should all be checking as well, not just avoid it. Go and see your eye doctor when you get those things, because your eyes are important. Uh, we have a question here. What challenges do people with vision difference often face that others may not realize?
So vision differences it's such a spectrum, when we're talking about full blindness, and even blindness is a spectrum, because I didn't know any of this until, I started meeting more blind people within the community. But blindness, I think we think that there's total blackness, but even they could see shapes, or they could see shadows, and there could be some visual, or sometimes they have no peripherals, or it's just like, or they have no inner, like they can only see on the peripheral. So it's like such a spectrum when it comes to that, and like their abilities and how well they can see and what assistance that they need. When we're talking about people with one eye, which I can speak a little bit more to because I have one eye, there's an adjustment period, especially if you go from, obviously 2 eyes to one eye. There's like depth perception, struggles in there, things that are close up look closer or further away. I can still drive, and so on a far scale, it doesn't make as much of a difference, but grabbing for a mug or a pen, or reaching for something out of someone's hand, or giving someone a handshake, those things I can, easily miss or misjudge. I think, I try to just like live my life every day and show up every day and do all of the normal things. And when people approach me and have questions, I know that they're just curious. I try to always meet their curiosity with kindness, even if they ask in kind of a rude way, or educate in some way. That's why I like to wear the fun eye as well too. But it's just such a spectrum for people. And I think, again, there's nothing wrong with being curious, but I think it's really important just the way you ask, or, I get this a lot online. I know online's, a whole nother beast, but people just, the approach, they're just more aggressive. Like,
Yeah.
what happened, wanting to know the story. And I'm like, it's on my, it's out there, but like, it just, the way you do it with kindness, is always key with anything like that.
Well, let's talk about the retreats and the conferences, because I want to get that out there, because I was like, whoa, this is cool. And for the people that are experiencing eye loss and that, like, I want to really get that message out there to all the listeners out there, and spread this tea time and share this tea time out there if you know somebody that is experiencing it. And then Shelby, if you could just share a little bit on how people can reach you and all that good stuff.
Yes. Yeah. So the conference, the very first iConnect virtual conference was the first thing that I actually sold. So that was like, it's kind of a business. Like, I made tickets, I sold tickets, we got speakers, it was all online. We had like 20, my goal was to sell 25 tickets. We sold 26. And so it felt like I had made it. That was October of 2022. It was like such an amazing event. And then of course we've done it every year. It's always online because I feel like that's just so accessible for everybody. So it's the iConnect virtual conference. We had one, we've kind of moved it different times. So we did one in April, we've done one in June. I'm going to do one in October again this year. We get different speakers every year. It's about 4 to 5 hours. The speakers present, we do breakout rooms, which is everybody's favorite. They love the breakout rooms and getting to talk with one another. We do, giveaways and kind of like prizes and different kind of fun interactive things in the conference as well too. And every topic that the speakers bring forth is a little bit different. So confidence is usually always one that we talk about. We've had like a gal that's into fashion. She came and talked all about fashion and styling with her eye. We've had ocularists come and talk about, how the eyes are made and everything. We've actually had eye doctors come before too and speak on eye care and eye health. We, just all different topics, but all of the speakers except for the doctors or the ocularists have one eye as well too. And then our retreat, which we did one back in February in Tulum, we're going to do another one in 2027 already in Tulum again. So it's March 22nd of 2027. What's 2027? That sounds so crazy. Like, wow.
Right?
Yeah, like that sounds weird.
Like, we're already August in 2026. I'm like, where did the year go?
I know. I'm like, it's gonna be 2027. So the One Eye Era retreat, again, it's just for people that have one eye or wear eye patches. And again, that doesn't mean you have to have a prosthetic eye. You can actually, like, because we even have people in our community that haven't had their eye removed, or if they've had cancer, they've had the whole thing removed and they don't wear a prosthetic eye. So there's lots of different stories. So if I say like one eye, like if you feel like you fit into this like community, what I'm talking about, like you're invited, you're welcome. I'm like, I don't want people to feel excluded because maybe their story looks a little different or sounds a little different. And so it's all just about if you kind of identify with, vision loss, having one eye, kind of that journey, wearing an eye patch in that, then, you're definitely welcome. And the retreats in Tulum, Mexico, it's about 5 days long. I actually teach yoga. So we do a little bit of yoga, journaling, meditation. We do some excursions. It's all about the community bonding, a little bit of movement, exploring, kind of adventuring. So it's a lot of fun. We had an amazing time last February, and I know this one's going to be even better.
So Shelby, are the retreats in different locations every year?
So this is only my second retreat, in-person retreat. And so we're doing it at the exact same location in Tulum, Mexico, just because we loved it. Everybody loved it so much. I'm like, let's just come back, make it easy. We already, one of the guys that was at the last year, he's already, paid in full. He's coming in March. And then we already have like 8 other spots that we've filled for the March one. So like, let's just keep it easy. And it was a beautiful resort right on the water. It was amazing.
Well, I am glad that you found me and that you're here bringing this awareness, because we need this awareness, right? This is something we don't talk about at all, is eye care, online, unless we find individuals like you, Shelby. So if people wanted to reach out to you to have them on their podcast or on their radio show or anything like that, how could they reach you?
Yeah. So I'm, Eyehesive, that's EYEHESIVE. So like cohesive, but Eyehesive. I'm on all social media platforms. I'm primarily Instagram's like where I'm always at. So if you shoot me a DM there, I will definitely respond. Also our website, eyehesive.com, or you can email me at customercare@eyehesive.com, which is also on the website too.
And Shelby, what advice would you give someone who's adapting to life after a sudden injury or vision loss?
I would the thing I love to share is just like the asking for help. It's so hard, I think, when we're going through those times to ask for help or to receive help from people that are offering it. So definitely ask for help, even if it feels uncomfortable or it feels weird. Receive help when people are there offering to help you, because I know how easy it is to like, no, I got it. Really let people help you in those times. It makes such a difference. It also, I just think, sets you up better in the future if you just allow that help, and people want to help as well too. I think back to that conversation about how long it took to launch the eye patches, that these things recovering from injuries take longer and are harder than we expect. And so really give yourself a lot of time, like a whole year, your whole first year, if you're, I don't care what kind of injury, and maybe it's even longer for other kinds of injuries, but an eye injury, it's like a year process. It's like obviously you continuously get better in that year, but you're still going to feel at 9 months like not 100% yourself. At 10 months, it's still going to, like, there's going to be things. And so really allowing that process as long as it takes or as slow as it takes. Ask for help, get involved with a community, share your story, and then try to create your own why, because that really is like a big turning point.
And Shelby, what legacy do you hope your journey leaves for the future innovators?
I think it's like, yeah, that piece on like really just sharing, owning your story, sharing your story, and that we don't, have to like just accept things as is. Like maybe there is other things that you're right now navigating or using that like could be better quality, and maybe you're the one to go out there and make it better. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like you just take what's already there and make it better, and it's going to serve other people.
And where do you see Eyehesive going in the next 5 years?
Yeah, so just more into this like eye care world. I really see, I don't know, like I love Nike, so I'm like, we're gonna be like the Nike of eye care. I'm like, I don't have it all figured out, but I do know that, with the supplements, with the growing eye patches, I do have a big vision of being able to, we do give back in the community right now on a small scale, but I really see big scale, like other like developing countries that don't have eye care like we do here, access to things, like being able to support them as well too. And so I just see something really, really big. Like I said, the Nike of eye care. How we get there or when it happens, I don't know, but we just keep showing up.
And Shelby, what's your final message to everybody that has used Eyehesive?
Oh, that has used this?
Has used it.
Well, I feel like I know like every customer, even though I don't, because they're always coming in, but it just feels very special to me since it's like such a personal product. But I'm always so grateful for anyone that tries Eyehesive, that believes in our message, our brand, that's committed and in our community. Anytime, likes, shares, comments, messages, that go such a long way. And I just am eternally grateful. Everyone thanks me, but I'm like, I wouldn't be here without you. So I thank you.
And what message would you give to somebody who hasn't used it?
Gotta give us a try. Yeah, if you use an eye patch for any reason, whether you've had an eye removed or you're going through eye surgery, you have Bell's palsy, you have some sort of condition that maybe you can't blink, or you're eye patching or feel like, an adhesive eye patch would be a solution for you, whether you use other ones on the market or you're trying them out for the first time, I would love for you to try Eyehesive and give us a try and let us know what you think.
I really want to thank you for joining me and bringing all this awareness, because you brought a lot of good awareness to the table today. So thank you so much, Shelby. Thank you for sharing your story so openly as well with my listeners out there. I'm just going to do a quick recap of what today's tea time was, and we'll be back at 7 and we'll do it all over again, guys. What a powerful and creative and deeply empowering conversation we have shared today. Shelby, thank you for bringing your honesty, courage, vision, and beautiful sense of individuality to the tea time table. Today's conversation reminded us that visual differences can affect far more than appearance. They can influence identity, confidence, self-worth, and the way we believe the world sees us. Through your journey and the creative of Eyehesive, you have shown us that something born from personal loss can grow into a movement of expression, confidence, and hope for others. You did not simply create an eye patch. You created choice, you created beauty. You created a way for people to reclaim part of their identity and to wear their differences without apology. One of the one of today's greatest takeaways is this: empowerment begins when we stop asking permission to be seen exactly as we are. Shelby, your work reminds us that design can do more than decorate. It can restore dignity, it can spark conversation, it can help someone look into the mirror and see possibility instead of limitations. As we close today's tea time, I'd like to leave everyone with this thought. What part of yourself have you been taught to hide that may actually hold the power to inspire someone else? Sometimes confidence does not arrive before we take the first brave step. Sometimes confidence is created because we took it. Shelby, thank you for transforming your experience into something that helps others, feels bold, beautiful, creative, and understood. Until next time, continue designing with purpose, continue wearing courage proudly, and continue serving real life tea, truth, experience, and awareness, one powerful expression at a time. And Miss Liz's takeaway today is what changes our appearance does not erase our identity. When courage meets creativity, even sometimes once connected to loss, can become a symbol of confidence, beauty, and empowerment for millions. I'll see everybody at 7, and we'll do it all over again.